Good evening. I'm Amelia Abbott.
And I'm Beth Schutte. Thanks for joining us.
Our top story this evening, COVID-19 affected New Life Ranch in major ways in 2020. Tonight, we look at how they're coping with these changes and their hopes for restoring the ministry.
Amelia, wasn't that our top story last time?
It has been a very long year, Beth.
Whew, girl, ain't that the truth? Well, New Life News reporter Justin Metcalf has more.
When the pandemic hit the ministry of New Life Ranch last April, Director of Operations Russ Schultz doesn't mince words about the impact it had.
A year ago, there was a deep, dark hole, and we stepped off the edge and just started falling. That's how I describe it.
That hole got deeper every day as retreat groups canceled and questions about summer camp hung in the air.
So last year at this time, we had to stop our retreat ministry. We weren't able to have guests coming because of the pandemic. Summer camp registration was just dropping off. People were canceling every day, multiple people canceling. And honestly, at this point, we didn't even know if we were gonna be able to do summer camp, if we were gonna be allowed to.
Fortunately, they were able to have camp last summer, though campers were down 40% from 2019. Schultz said it was after camp happened that they were able to finally assess the situation.
Probably end of summer is when we felt like, okay, here's the bottom of the hole, and we could kind of quantify how deep the hole went.
The New Life Ranch director team met that fall for strategic planning to figure out what the next 6 to 9 months were going to look like.
Yeah, for us, it was we kind of came up with some strategies to get out of the hole. And so we did some cost savings. As you know, we laid off some people on our staff. We cut some areas of ministry. We went to donors and asked them for some help. We did the PPP loans with the government. So there was a lot of different approaches that we took to digging ourselves out of the hole.
So really what we planned for was a pretty slow winter and spring. We're hopeful to have a good summer and then a great fall as the vaccine rolls out and all that sort of stuff, and we kind of get on top of COVID a little bit better.
And while the retreat season did turn out to be slow as expected, God blessed the ministry with some tremendous gifts through the end of 2020.
So we had this recovery fund going, and again, it was $1.2 million, which the bulk of that was for just our general operations, with scholarship dollars and a few strategic projects that we felt we needed to try to continue to do. And as the year ended, we exceeded that goal, which was just phenomenal.
As the ranch moves into the summer season, Schultz and Graney both remain very optimistic about the future.
Because our spring, although it was slow, it started slow, it's picking up. And so it's getting a lot better, and we're excited about that. Our registration numbers for the summer look really good. We got our second draw PPP dollars, so that's helpful. So there's lots of positive things. So the light at the end of the tunnel is bright.
We're in a great place where we're so thankful for the position we're in. I think we're thankful as a ministry of our faith was strengthened with how we were challenged and how we had to trust in the Lord. And I think we had been, but our faith was strengthened with what we faced. And that's a great thing as believers, to continually be maturing in your faith and growing deeper in a trust and confidence and faith in the Lord is a great thing.
While 2020 may have had its difficulties, it didn't stop the ranch from moving forward with several major projects.
Though the preference would have been to have guests at the ranch constantly, the director of facilities took the opportunity of those empty grounds to work on several projects around both sites. We spoke to Josh Collum about the work that's gone on the last 6 months.
When the pandemic hit last year, ministry at the ranch came to a screeching halt. While most departments were scrambling to figure out what to do, that wasn't the case for every team.
I think that I was kind of the oddball at camp because it didn't really impact me and what I had going. Luckily our project was funded through campaign donations before we started the project, so the funding was already designated in there.
With an empty campground and full funding, Josh and his team set out to use the strange circumstances to work on some major projects.
We were able to continue with the dining hall project and get it wrapped up. Generous donations came in that provided money for the removal of the sediment in the creek and for the enhancement of the chapel landscape. So we were able to just keep right on working and get this place ready for guests to be coming back.
After putting the final touches on the dining hall, Josh and his team turned their attention to fixing a major problem at Flint Valley.
over the last 15 years, every time a flood event has happened, it's carried just a tremendous amount of river rock in and dropped it in our swimming area where the creek widens out and slows down. And it had gotten to the point where you couldn't really canoe, the canoe dock wasn't functional, the swimming area was about to get filled in with rock in the next couple of floods. So we were able to get some articulated off-road dump trucks and a big excavator, and a lot of people just drove trucks all day and just greatly enhanced the use of that water space for our guests here.
In December, the ranch ran a Giving Tuesday campaign to raise money for updating the landscape around the chapel.
For the chapel, a lot of people from different teams at camp chipped in. We kind of stripped it down and brought in a bunch of big pieces of rock, and were able to stack some nice natural looking formations over there with new shrubs and landscape and a fire pit. And it'll be it'll be easier to maintain, will require less water to keep all the plants alive, and still create a space where groups can kind of break out into smaller groups and connect over a fire.
At Frontier Cove, there were several maintenance issues the team was able to address during the fall and winter.
At the Frontier Cove, we've been working on fixing the boat docks that have kind of fallen into ill repair. So we've been getting them back into shape for summer. One of our pools has been leaking a lot of water, had some cracking issues, so we got that fixed and ready to go. So we're more efficient with our water usage and just better use for the campers.
And as is always the case with the facilities team at New Life Ranch, as soon as one project is done, it's time to start looking forward to what's next.
Starting to look forward to what does the future of New Life Ranch look like, what projects need to happen, and look towards getting plans developed for that so we can get some pricing figured out and figure out how we're going to keep serving guests well.
Josh Collin, ladies and gentlemen, new to the director team and certainly new to the camera as well. No, I kid. We are really grateful for Josh and his team this past year, and these 4 projects have really been his baby, and we're excited for folks to come out here and get to see them.
Absolutely, I cannot wait. All right, coming up after the break, I sat down with a very special and very important person at New Life Ranch to talk about this summer's theme. Welcome back.
This past April, New Life Ranch launched the Canoe Can Do campaign to raise funds to replace our aging boats. In less than 4 hours, incredibly generous donors met and far exceeded the $9,000 needed to purchase 18 new watercrafts.
In related news, New Life Ranch has now launched the Canoe Can You Buy a Canoe campaign, where people can now own a piece of New Life Ranch.
For those of you attending summer camp, we do have some concerning news. Our pig and bass are currently on strike, demanding better pay and benefits for the work that they do in the summer camps at New Life Ranch. Negotiations with Tom Graney are underway, and I will say that pig has been a little bit easier to work with than bass.
Summer camp manager Landon Summers has officially petitioned the Olympic Committee to make Big Frizz an official Olympic sport this summer. If you're interested in jumping on and joining that team for the first official Olympic Big Frizz team, you can email Landon at newliferanch.com. Subject line, Big Frizz forever.
Well, Beth, we're just mere weeks away from the start of Summer Camp 2021.
Indeed we are. Folks, I promised this story was coming up after the break. A very special New Life Ranch News reporter had the pleasure of sitting down with one of the senior camp managers from Flint Valley to talk about the summer camp theme. Beth, I am so glad to have you here. So glad we could work with our conflicting schedules and just make this work to sit down and have this chat. Yeah, awesome. I love getting to talk to you, Beth. Well, I'm curious, I think everybody else is curious, what is our summer 2021 theme? Our theme this summer is called Real Power, and the theme verse is 2 Corinthians 12:9, which says, "And he said to me, my grace is all you need. My power is made perfect in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that Christ's power can rest in me." That sounds awesome. I just love that. But what does real power actually mean? So in our world and culture especially, we get this message sent to us that we need to have it all together. We need to be the best at what we do and that we should be the best. But what we hear from God is that those things aren't what make us lovable or loved or valued. But in fact, it's not about us, it's really about Him, because He's the one who has the real power to do work in this world. And He invites us into that relationship to work through us, especially in our weaknesses. That sounds so incredible. I'm excited for these campers to experience that. Tell them a little bit more about what they can expect to learn through this theme. Well, this summer in chapels especially, our campers are going to hear about our theme through the life of Peter. We're going to be specifically looking at how that theme implements in his life and his relationship with Jesus, so that our campers can start to see how Jesus invites them into a relationship with Him so that He can, in His real power, work through their lives. Well, thanks so much for talking, Beth. You're welcome. So fun to talk to you. Glad we could make this work. What a great chat. All right, back to you, Beth.
Amelia, that was some of the best newscasting we've had on this show.
Yeah, it was pretty good, Beth.
Just pretty good? I mean, I thought that was excellent.
I mean, the reporter was a little bit off, and it just, I don't know, it kind of seemed redundant.
Redundant? I mean, I think that was award-winning on the reporting, on the interview.
Okay.
I think I'm ready to just handle this on my own, so I'm just gonna kick you on off the show.
Excuse me? You're gonna what?
Yeah, I think I can handle this one-footed.
Okay, that's it. That's it, Beth. That's Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties.
But seriously, Amelia, I couldn't do this show without you. Wouldn't want to. All right, with summer camp nearly underway, the development team is hard at work raising money for the Mission 1914 Camper Scholarship Fund.
With that fund, New Life Ranch makes sure that every kid can come to camp regardless of their financial situation.
The very popular NLNews reporter Justin Metcalf has this story about how New Life Ranch is working to make raising money for scholarships each year a little more sustainable.
For Shelby Moody, the donor relations coordinator at New Life Ranch, the job of raising money for the Mission 1914 Camper Scholarship Fund each year can sometimes feel daunting.
Since we're giving out over $500,000 a year in scholarships, we then in turn have to raise over $500,000 a year for the scholarship fund. Every January 1st, we start over in raising the scholarship fund. So as we start awarding more and more dollars every year, that goal is just going to be getting bigger and bigger.
As Moody and her team explored ways to make raising the funds each year more sustainable, they decided to make a bigger push towards getting people to begin making monthly recurring donations instead of one-time gifts.
One-time gifts are great and definitely help us reach that end-of-year goal, but monthly gifts do help us have a better picture of where we'll be by the end of the year.
When Jack and Julia Jones began thinking about making a donation to the scholarship fund, Julia remembered how important monthly gifts were during her time in ministry.
Coming from working in ministry at one point in time at a church, I saw the value of making our intentions known to you guys. I think it helps give you guys a lot more freedom to make decisions.
Jack also appreciates the ease of setting up a monthly recurring gift.
It's really nice to just set it up and not think about it and not have to remember, like, I know I want to give to New Life Ranch. I just got to make sure I do it at the dinners or make sure I do it once a year or whatever.
Moody explained that monthly recurring gifts leads to longer-term impact in getting kids to camp year after year.
Since the average scholarship gift is $500, A monthly gift over the course of a year of just $45 covers that cost of sending a kid to camp. So when you're making a monthly gift, no matter the amount, year after year, you're helping more and more kids get to camp through the scholarship fund.
And that impact is what compels Jack and Julia to continue giving monthly.
I feel like there's a huge impact that can be made by a small amount of time and a small amount of money. We don't have kids, we're not at that life stage yet, so it's an opportunity to impact the next generation before we're part of like raising that generation, right? So it's like, it's our opportunity to impact kids.
Great story, Justin. Now, Beth, do you know, can just anyone become a ranch hand? You know, are there any sort of requirements or, you know, any sort of specifications?
Amelia, I think you're missing the point. It's like you're not actually doing anything with your hands. It's about monthly giving to the Mission 1914 Fund.
Cool. So if you would like to become a ranch hand, you can visit our website or give Miss Shelby a call.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at the weather with Chief Meteorologist Rancy Sharp, because some things never change, but the weather sure does. Welcome back. Let's go live to Chief Meteorologist Rancy Sharp with a look at the weather. Rancy?
The weather looks good.
This beautiful spring weather has definitely got me thinking about starting to train for the Flint and Steel Trail Run that will be happening at Flint Valley this year on December 4th.
Now, Amelia, you ran the 10K and won last year, right?
Yes, I did run the 10K and I won my division.
What division was that?
The division of women named Amelia.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yep, thank you. Let's have a look back at this past December's race. This year's trail run will take place on December 4th at Flint Valley. All of the proceeds from this race will go towards the Mission 1914 Camper Scholarship Fund, and we hope to see you all there.
Yeah, all right, coming up after the break, we have a great story about a new partnership between the ranch and another local ministry.
Welcome back. Finally this evening, we have a story about a newly formed partnership between New Life Ranch and a local ministry. New Life News reporter Justin Metcalf? Again?
Hold on, this is like his third story tonight.
Do you think he's trying to take over?
I feel a coup coming.
I'm willing to fight.
I think we can handle him.
We stick together?
Always.
Let's hear his story anyways.
Yeah. Good idea.
A year before New Life Ranch was founded in 1958, another ministry established itself in the area.
Cookson Hills provides home, school, and therapy for kids who are at risk. So we've been around since 1957 in Kansas, Oklahoma.
Over the last 64 years, Cookson Hills has served at-risk students from all over the country by providing them with a home and house parents, a quality education, and counseling.
Kids come because maybe they've been in an abusive relationship, they've been neglected, they have maybe had a death of a parent and are their grandparents are taking care of them, and they're having trouble keeping up with the demands of a young child at that time, and they come from all over the country.
For Noah, a student at Cookson Hills for the last 10 years, he has loved his time at Cookson Hills and recognizes the positive impact it has had on his life.
I was really a wild child. I just tended to just do whatever I wanted to do. It's kind of how my mother taught me, and we just kind of disobeying, but we were just kind of wild and just having a lot of fun. But with Cookson, it taught you how to get disciplined, but also have a lot of fun, and that was kind of hard because we weren't very disciplined.
As much as he loves Cookson Hills during the school year, he often finds himself bored during their 5-week summer break.
And so a normal summer is just kind of like really just sleeping in for like till 12 and then getting lunch and then kind of just sitting around, maybe being with friends who are on their visits, but mostly kind of boring.
The leadership at Cookson Hills recognized that there was a real opportunity for a partnership with New Life Ranch, but they weren't sure how to make it happen.
A couple years ago, it was just a thought in the minds of the leadership here at Cookson Hills about, man, wouldn't it be awesome if we could get our kids at New Life Ranch? We knew they would love it, and we also knew that we would love it because they were getting poured into the love of Jesus from people other than us. It became a thought, but it always came back to, I don't see how in the world we could pay for that.
But around the same time, New Life Ranch also recognized that there was an opportunity to serve some kids in the community who weren't able to come to camp due to finances.
So in conversation with the executive director, Tom Graney, he started the conversation. How can we get Cookson Hills students to New Life Ranch? And we thought, maybe now is the time to start really digging into that and figuring out how we can do that. But each time, we kept kind of getting hung up on how are we going to pay for it. So when I talked to Tom, he basically said, stop thinking about that and worrying about that. I want the students at Cookson Hills to come to New Life Ranch if that is what you want for them. And I do not want cost to get in the way of that.
Thanks to the incredibly generous donors of the Mission 1914 Camper Scholarship Fund, Cookson Hills was able to send 15 students to summer camp in 2020. Even though it was a much different summer camp experience due to COVID-19, the Cookson campers didn't seem to mind one bit.
When they came back to school, they came back and told me, this was the best summer I've ever had. Who says that? Who says 2020 summer was the best summer they ever had? Students at Cookson Hills that went to New Life Ranch. That's who said that.
For Noah, who was on the Nehemiah team, the first level of the leadership development program for high school students, his takeaway from camp was much more than just about having fun.
What I learned at camp is that Jesus didn't just die for us, and not what Sunday school would teach, like, oh, Jesus did this, Jesus that, and that's all you would know. But it really got really into depth what Jesus actually did for people who he loves him, and it was so much more eye-opening to see what Jesus has done for me, and that he did this thinking about me, but also thinking about everyone else who I care about. And it just was really nice to think about that Jesus would do something like that for everybody.
Kevin and Pam Etcher, house parents to Noah and several other students who attended summer camp, especially valued the role summer staff counselors played in pouring into the lives of their campers.
That we can say something to our students, but they don't hear it. But the next person down the line can say the exact same thing, and they're like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense." I'm like, "I've been saying that for a couple of years now," But it's again just an opportunity for others to speak in and to reaffirm what we're teaching them on a daily basis.
Jackson is hopeful that this relationship will continue and more students will be able to attend summer camp.
My hope is that we can continue sending more students to New Life Ranch. A huge thank you to the leadership of New Life Ranch for taking a chance on the kids at Cookson Hills, and a huge thank you to the donors of New Life Ranch who are able to allow students that wouldn't necessarily be able to go to camp, able to go to camp. It's a real blessing.
What a great story. Maybe we'll keep Justin around.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, I'm very excited to have those kids out here this summer.
Absolutely. Me too. Thank you guys and have a great evening.